Welcome back to Patrick's World of Things. Today we're going to be doing something on our technology. We're going to talk about customizing the Bash terminal prompt. Um, I was looking for a way to make my Bash prompt look nicer instead of just the plain generic. Um, let's get this screen cleared and then I'll pull up that terminal. That's pretty plain Jane, isn't it? It makes you feel like you know you're not part of the system and it doesn't want you there because you're like, what is this? Okay. Like, and most of the tech YouTubers that I watch and people that I know are like, "Oh man, you're still using that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." Because it's functional. Well, I have a better one. That's not the right one. That's the one. So you can see I have Linux Mint icon. I am running Linux Mint. It runs fast fetch as soon as it opens. It's got the date and time. It's got my username with a user icon. It's got my machine name or host name. That's the name of your computer with a computer icon, and then what directory we're in. And you can see here I've typed term just so I could, because I was working with two terminals open here a minute ago, so I could see which one was which. But that looks a whole lot nicer. So if we come over here and we clear that terminal, that looks a whole lot better than the other one, doesn't it? Get these side by side here quick. That's that one. That's that one. I mean, look at the difference. Plain Jane, pretty nice looking. So let's take a look at how we did this. And we're going to open up Nano. I prefer Nano over Vim. That's just me. Mainly because I don't like Vim. I don't like the way it works. I like Nano. It's easy to use. So you can ignore literally. So here's where my begin custom prompt configuration starts. Everything above this you can ignore. You don't need any, like you need it because it's parts of what tell Bash how to be Bash and what it can do. This is the generic prompt that it sets. Pretty simple. One thing that we can do with Bash is aliases. So let's say that we wanted to make another ls command that had a specific set of things after it. So maybe an ls with like a more command or a less command, so we could pause it and it would still give us our output. You could do that here. You could put it as like LP equals and then LS minus whatever pipe more or less, depending on how you did it, how you wanted it. As you can see, they've done here LL, which is long lit, LS minus ALF, LA, which is same as LS minus A, and then L, which is just condensed. The way I've got this configured, we have escape codes that we're going to use, and we have this one is really important, the reset that I've set here. This is going to reset all of our color information. It's going to clear our background color, clear our foreground color, and set it back to default. Let's go through some of the syntax on our colors. For background colors, like we have here, if we come down here, BG white equals escape. That's our escape code, remember from up here. Escape equals \E. That's the bash command for an escape character inside the script. 48 tells the terminal that you want to change the background of the text. This tells us whether it's a 0 to 256 value for the color using Xterm 256 colors, or is it an RGB color using red, green, blue values. So if you use a 5, so 48 semicolon 5 semicolon 0 would be BG underscore black. 0 is black. But that would be 48 background, set background color, the type, how we're going to pass it that color. So 5, which is going to be Xterm 256, and 0, which is the color code, the Xterm color code for black. Down here, we have our foreground colors. Foreground white equals $, tput set AF. So this command, I forget what tput does, I forget exactly what these all mean, but this command sets our foreground color. And then this is using the 0 to 255 colors from the 256 cheat sheet. If you look at Chrome, we'll pull up our Chrome. I'll have links for all this in the description too, by the way. We have our cheat sheet here. This is all the Xterm 256 color sheet. Every color that you can have, the 0 through 15 are your standard system colors. This is what's been on every computer since CGA standards, pretty much. I mean, granted, CGA was 3-color, but they did have a 16-color mode as well at one point. Typically, it was only for composite output, but that's a whole other story to go down, a whole other road. We're not worried about that today. But then you have the extended color codes, Xterm non-system colors. This is color codes 16 through 255. And you can see they're not in any kind of order that you would think of. I mean, like we've got greens and blues and dark gray, and then we go into dark red from cyan, and then pink, and then we got this, they call it orange 4. It's almost a gold color, at least on my monitor. I don't know what it looks like on yours. I mean, they're not really in any kind of, the color codes aren't grouped together in color temperature or anything like that. But also in here, you've got your hex valuable, you've got your Xterm number, your hex value, your RGB value, and then your HSL values, depending on what standard you're using. So if we wanted to make this dark orange, for instance, changes to 166. Here's our elements. Like I put in a user and a host name here. I'm not using those. These are just examples. But let's jump over to Chrome and let's take a look at the bash reference manual. We're concerned with PS1. That's our primary prompt. Here's the date command, \D. If you're familiar with setting a custom date format, you can do that using a capital D. \E is the escape character. We'll go over why that's important in a minute. Host name up to the first dot. If your computer is part of a domain, let's say you've got a business and you're running your computer, or you're a programmer and you're working in an office and you want to customize your bash prompt, as most people probably would in that environment. But your computer name, let's say it's like HPWS15, that's your computer name, dot, and then it's on the domain, and your domain is, we'll just, for grins and giggles, we'll call it supracorp.com or .local, because you're on the local intranet. Host name up to the first dot, so it's just going to be your host name, just your computer name. If you want to show how many jobs are currently managed by that particular shell, /J. The base name of the shell's terminal device, pretty self-explanatory. A new line creates a new line. That's how mine are stacked. Name of the shell, T. Time in 24-hour format, \T is 12-hour format. \@ is the one I use, gives you a 12-hour format with an AM or PM with the operand. \A is the time in 24-hour format without the seconds. And also with the it's 12-hour AM PM without the seconds. Not that you need the seconds, because that's not really that important for most things. \U, username. You could put the version of bash in there. W command gives you the path of the directory that you're in. The history is an exclamation point. Begin a sequence of non-printing characters. \bracket. This is how that you tell it to do things with your prompt. So we're going to jump back over to our terminal, and we're going to scroll down. But you can see here I've got my icon, my items, my icons, my elements all listed in here. And you can see I've got some things set up. So look at this. PS1. Now, each one of these with a $sign and brackets around it is a link. It links back to this. It's called a string. I'm sure most of you know what a string is. It's a string of characters inside quotes attached to a value. So we have leader, follower, left separator, right separator, and prompt. Those are those. We have icons. We have user icon, alternate user icon, host icon, lead icon, and follower icon, or follow icon, is the follower. My leader has the extra line in it because originally I didn't have 2 lines. I only had one, and it was this first character. My prompt actually is the opposite of this. It goes down and over, and then it's got the arrow with it. When you do it that way, they line up perfectly. When you do it my way, there's space between them, but it's fine. I'm not worried about it. All right, so let's build our prompt. Oh, let's talk about this first. So I have both NeoFetch and FastFetch. Anybody who runs Linux or a Unix-like operating system knows NeoFetch is no longer being worked on. The project is dead. It's been retired. We've had several others come out since then. FastFetch is one of them. I don't like it as well as NeoFetch. NeoFetch was very concise and very small. Seems like every time somebody takes on the project, they make it bigger and it takes up more screen space. Whatever. FastFetch, I could go in and I could change it and make it what I want it. That's another video. So FastFetch loads, and then it gives me my prompt. And any of this stuff that you want, I would put it before you put your prompt in. It'll do FastFetch, then it'll set the prompt. First part of it, we set our foreground white. We put in our leader, which is our that icons, the line in the half moon. Then we change our foreground color to Linux Mint Green, which we've set up here. Linux Mint Green. And then we have our background is white, which matches our foreground and our leader. And then we have our Linux Mint icon, and then we reset. This sets that first section of the first line. And you'll notice that we don't have a \n here. So we go to the next line here. We set the background to our green color, our dark green color. We put in our left separator, which, because our foreground color is going to be that white color, it's almost the same as the foreground white. Or it probably is the same as foreground white. We're moving on to the second line here. This sets our background of the green color. It's not the same color as the Linux Mint icon. It's slightly darker. Then we have a left separator. We have /D, which is our date. Right separator. Another left separator. Our time, our right separator. We reset. We set our foreground color to the dark green. We put in our follower character, which is here. And then we reset our color information. This sets the second segment of the first line. Okay, then we go to the next line. This is our second line of text, second line of our prompt. So we have a \n. We have our middle of our bracket, as it were. Dark blue, so that's our blue color. That leader icon. Then we reset our color. Reset our color information, and we change our colors again. We go to the blue color. All right, because we want this color, this to be the same color as our background here. Left separator, alternate user icon, our username, right separator, on, because it's username on hostname. Some people will use an @ sign, username @ hostname. Left separator, host icon, and then host name. Right separator resets the color name again. Now we change our background color to lilac, which is that nice purpley pinky color that I've got set there. A left separator. Our directory, which we want to change this because we want the little bit different directory structure. All right. A right separator. And then we reset the color again. We change to the foreground. We change the foreground color here with follower color to that lilac color and put in our follower. And then we reset again, start a new line, and then that resets our color information, and then we have our prompt. Pretty simple. But with that, with all of this information here, and with everything that we see up here, you can add and remove whatever you want for colors. You can add, remove whatever you want for icons. And then you can just put them in here. So when you use a $, curly bracket, and then the name with a closed curly bracket, that tells Bash that you want to reference this. So that's what is that? Foreground white. So foreground white, is here, this is a non-printed character. Okay. So this is non-printing characters. So this is running a command instead in an escape code instead of printing text. So this sends the command to the terminal to change the color. If you were running this on an actual terminal, this would all look the same. So I'm going to put some links in the description. We're going to talk now. We're going to go back to Chrome. Now we're going to talk about fonts. Most systems have a character map tool. Let's say we wanted to use that icon that I got up on the screen. If we come down here and we see U plus 2570, let's open up our terminal. So all of these were put in here using this particular system. So this is Nano. If we hold Alt, press V, we go into verbatim input. So box drawings, light arc, up and right is that one that we just showed. So it's going to be a 6-digit value that we put in. So it's 002570 because it's a 4-digit code that we're looking at. U plus 2570. There's our icon. Pretty simple on that one. Now, we can also go over to Chrome and we can go to our nerd fonts. I'm running Meslo because it's got all the nerd fonts in it. It's got all these special characters in it that I want. These two right here, E0B4, E0B6, leader, follower. That's what I used. You could use these. You could use this as your leader, this is your follower. You could use this as your leader, this is your follower. Any number of them. You could use these for leader and follower. It's entirely up to you. The other nice thing is, if we go to the cheat sheet and we hit the space bar, here is all of the possible icons that you could use and their codes. And you put these in the same way that you would put in Nano, the same way that you put in the codes from the character map. Alt V, and then if there's 4 digits in the hexadecimal here, it's 00, and then your 4 digits. If it's a 5 or 6 digit number, then you put in, you just lead it with zeros. So let's find one that's got 5 digits. I know there's some in here. Yeah, Linux Mint. Here we go. So this is one of the Linux Mint icons I like. F08ED. So it'd be 0F08ED. So Foxtrot 08 Echo Delta. That's the way that would work. Pretty straightforward. That works pretty well. I'm going to leave links to all the stuff that I'm showing here. The bash reference, the colors, the font reference. You can download the fonts straight from the font reference. There's fonts download right here. That's the easiest way to do it. Going back to the terminal quick. All right, so now in our terminal, if I exit out of here, we're going to yes. Just cancel for now, control exit, yes, enter. All right, and now we're going to source that file again. So anytime you make updates, make sure that you source your bash.rc. Yep, and that's what I wanted. So if you use a lowercase w, it gives you the full path name of where you're at. That's useful because sometimes you're working in a folder somewhere and you forget what folder you're in because you might be updating a configuration file in one of the programs that you're working with. I find a lot of times it's easier to go in and change it manually in a configuration file than it is to try and navigate the settings and make it work right through the program itself. There are programs that don't offer a configuration tool inside the program, and that's the only way to do it. So that makes it nice because you know what folder you're in. So if you need a file that's in your, let's say it's in here, like we wanted to do, like if I was in another folder and I was working with something and I wanted to load a different bash script, but it was in my home folder, I would know at a glance I needed to put a tilde, dot, then whatever my bash script was. But you can see my bash script, my Linux Mint icon, my time and date on that nice green background, my username and my machine name on the blue background, and then my folders on that kind of lilac color background. Hopefully this was informational and you got something out of it. Leave a like, leave a thumbs up and a comment, and thank you for watching.